Hello and welcome to my channel. This is 626 Craftworks. My name is Tim. I have been 3D printing for a little over a year. Today I am going to demonstrate the Mesh Boolean feature in Bambu Studio. So let's begin. Okay, as you can see, I have Bambu Studio up here. Let's add a cube. So right click, come down here to add primitive and click cube. It's great, but kind of need another cube if we are going to do anything with Mesh Boolean. So let's just do the same thing. You can click anywhere, add primitive, cube, and it'll put it right next to the other one. But we don't want them next to each other because we're doing Mesh Boolean. We want them overlapping some. So with the second one selected, I'm going to come up here and click on move. I think we're going to try 145 and 114. Ooh, not 1114. Let's try that again. There we go. That looks better. Now you can see they are overlapping. So let's select each of one of these. And what I'm doing is pressing Control and clicking on one and then clicking on the other while holding Control. So let's come up here to Mesh Boolean. And you can also hit B for Boolean. And if you like the keys instead, it's easier to show mouse movements than keystrokes. So we'll do that. And let's explain the various parts of Mesh Boolean. So we've got across the top, union, intersection, subtraction. We've got our two cubes. We have a trash can, which can't do anything with right now. But if we select one, we could actually delete it. So if we had multiples, so let's say we had three cubes, all three cubes would show here, but we could delete one of them. So we wouldn't act on that. And it wouldn't actually delete it. It would just remove it from the Mesh Boolean. And then we also have keep original models, which I'm going to show you that. I don't typically use it, but let's go ahead and use it. And then we'll click execute. And now we have, look over in the objects, we have cube 1, cube 2, and the meshed Boolean object. So there, now you can see them individually. But that's not what I'm looking to do today. So let's undo that. Let's get it back to two cubes. So let's uncheck keep original models. And I'll explain the other two here in a minute. But let's uncheck keep original models and we will do execute. Now, notice that there's only one object over here. Got rid of the other two objects that we were using to combine them. And now we can move it as one object. So let's undo again. And what I am doing for undo is I'm hitting Control Z, but you can also come up here and hit this arrow to undo, and it'll take you back to the last action, which is this. So let's move keep original models. It brought it back because I hit undo a second time. That's why it brought that back. But let's move to intersection. I'm going to leave keep original models off for the rest of the video. It's going to do the same thing. It would leave these two behind and then give us the results of whatever we're doing. So for the union, it was combining the two together, which is why we have two, we had one object and we had the two original cubes. Let's do intersection. Hey, look at that. We have just where the two intersected. except we don't. Notice that it's 25.5976. So we can fix that. I'm going to show you how to do that when we get to intersection or subtraction, but just keep in mind that it's off. So if we undo this, you can see, let's return back, that this was 25.6. So the intersection is a little shorter. Let's go on, let's move on to subtraction. Let's do subtraction. So this is going to remove the one in green from the one in blue. So let's go ahead and hit execute. And see, it did the same thing. It left just a little bit of the top part of the first cube. So what we can do, and this is the same thing we can do for the intersection, so we can come back here and we can change the height of just the second cube so that we know that it will be beyond the height of the first one. So let's come up here to scale, or you can hit S, and let's just go 26. That should be enough because it was just a little shorter. Now let's return out of here. If I rotate this, you can see that yes, the second cube is a little taller. So if I do this again, tell you what, let's go back to intersection and do that again. And now you can see it is 25.6 because even though the second cube was taller, it is where they intersected. So let's go back. Again, we're back to having two cubes. Let's go do the subtraction and execute again. Now, first cube, or the second cube has completely been removed where it overlapped with the first cube. So it's a good way to cut out pieces of an object or a part. We could do it as a part too. Let me show you that. So we're back to having two cubes. So come over here and select them, again doing Control and click. You can't do a Mesh Boolean here, but what you can do is a merge. And merge creates an assembly, and each of these are now a part, not an object. The object is the assembly. So we could do split to objects because they're already parts. So if we did that, brings back the two cubes. But let's leave it as an assembly. And now we can do a Mesh Boolean from here. And Mesh Boolean from here is only going to do a union. So now we have two pieces, and it's actually 26 because remember, we raised the second one up a little bit. It's a little taller. So that's why it says that the height is 26. In reality, the one part is 26. The other part is 25.6. But since they're meshed together, they aren't separate parts anymore. They're one part, one object. So let's undo this. And if I select just the individual, see it's 25.6 and 26. Oh, I didn't realize that I had done that. Notice it is 26 by 26 by 26. And that is because I left uniform scale selected. If all we wanted to do was just change the height, we should uncheck the uniform scale. So let's undo this. I'm going to go back a ways. That should be good, I think. Let's see. This is 25.6. So let's go up here and scale that. Notice uniform scale is off now because I just turned it off. Do 26. Now you can see that it didn't change size except for the height. So now if we go do that again and do intersection, it's still only 25.6 because that is where they intersected. First cube was still only 25.6 tall. So that's all that's left. So let's do that again. Let's go back to subtraction, do that again. And there again, completely removed. Now, there's one other feature here I want to show you. Before I do that, I am going to rename these so we can keep them straight. I've been calling them cube 1, so let's name them cube 1 and cube 2. So now we have two objects that are more appropriately named. And notice when I control click over here, it selects both of them over here. So now let's do Mesh Boolean, and now it says cube 1, cube 2 up here. What if I wanted to remove, instead of cube 2 from cube 1, I wanted to remove cube 1 from cube 2? There's this little swap down here. And just do that. Or, like I said before, if you had multiple objects in here, you can also do that, but that won't work because you can't delete one from the other that's also scheduled to be subtracted. So what we can do, you gotta just only have one checked, then hit the arrow, and it'll move it back over. And like I said, if we hit delete, it would try to delete it. If we had multiples, it would delete it. But since we only have one of each, we can't do that. So let's swap these again. So cube 2 is on the left. And notice that it's green. So green will be removed from blue. So cube 1 will be removed from cube 2. And cube 2 is slightly taller because we scaled it. Now, we are left with this. Now notice that there is an overhang because cube 2 was taller. We didn't get rid of all of cube 2 because cube 1 was shorter. So that's why it works better like this, because we already resized cube 2. So if we do this, that's not what I want. That's what I want. Move cube 2 from cube 1. There we go. And that is Mesh Boolean. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I was just trying to show a few different things there. I am trying to do one video a week. For now, they will be how-to videos. If you have any suggestions, no, be sure to check out my other videos. And if you could do me a favor, please like and subscribe. That really helps the channel. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them below in the comments. Thank you.